Hi, I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Revero Success Story Podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Joel. Welcome, Joel.
Hi, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so Joel, tell us a little bit about what your life was like prior to starting a meat-based diet. Were you having any issues, any concerns?
Yes, actually, I had a life-threatening autoimmune disease, and it got to the point the doctors didn't know exactly what to do. It got very serious, and it was actually the carnivore diet that put it all into remission. Um, I can tell you from the start, it was 33 years ago, I had my first episode of this autoimmune disease where it was after a viral infection, like mononucleosis, and then started this, it was actually an autoimmune pericarditis that I had, inflammation of the lining of the heart. They didn't know what caused it or anything, but now in retrospect, I think the infection probably brought on a food allergy reaction. So it was going on and off for many years, but I was able to work most of the time until, and that was started in 1988 when it first started. Then I had a bad flare up for about a year. I had to go to the hospital and they gave me infusions to try to stop it. Then it went into remission again. And then I was working full-time for ExxonMobil as an engineer and an executive, but the fatigue got so bad that I had to resign. And then I was put on SSDI disability for 10 years because of the pain and the fatigue. Then in 2011, I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. I was put on TNF blockers, that's immune suppressant infusions. It cost $20,000 an infusion every 6 weeks at the hospital. The pain was extremely severe from the arthritis in the spine. I was put on narcotic pain medicines 365 days a year of methadone, of 40 milligrams a day of opioids. I had chronic insomnia. I had to be on Ambien and lorazepam to sleep. I was on a total of 7 prescription drugs. Over the last 12 years, I spent over $3 million in insurance costs, medical costs, and hospitalizations. And then it got very bad this March. The inflammation caused instantaneous cerebral spinal fluid leak of my brain from my brain in the spinal column where the fluid would come to my ears and down my throat. And so in the brain surgeons, the neurosurgeons in Seattle Hospital, they thought it was a life-threatening situation. They said I could get meningitis because of the leak, and it caused a debilitating headache pain. I could not sit up because of the low pressure headache that's caused by the fluid being drained from the sac around my brain. And so they did spinal taps in the hospital. They didn't know exactly how to treat it because it's a very rare condition. And then my brother, who's a doctor in California, he sent me the book, The Carnivore Diet of Jordan Peterson and Mihaela Peterson. And so I read that book in 24 hours and I decided, since the doctors didn't know how they were going to treat my situation as life-threatening, I had nothing to lose. So that was on May 21st of this year, 2021, I just started eating beef, lamb, and water. And then within 3 weeks, the cerebral spinal fluid leak stopped on its own because the inflammation was going down. They had put me on high doses of prednisone, 40 milligrams a day. I was able to reduce that by 50% after 3 weeks. And then after 6 weeks, I was able to completely taper off the prednisone. Previously, in May, when I tried to reduce the prednisone at all, I would have difficulty breathing, heart irregularity, and I lost vision in my right eye. And so I was able to decrease the prednisone whatsoever, but the carnivore diet, I was able to go off it completely. But unexpectedly, it also got rid of my ankylosing spondylitis, back pain. I was able to completely taper off all of the opioids that I'd been on for over 10 years, 365 days a year. When I told my rheumatologist, he said, oh yeah, this is the latest thing in rheumatology. They're finding out that diet can actually put into remission autoimmune diseases. And then basically over the following month or two, I was able to taper off all my other medicines, all my sleeping medicines, the lorazepam, Ambien, and even the toprol for my heart. It used to be if I stopped the toprol for one day, my heart would go into arrhythmia. After being on this for about 2 months, I was able to completely stop the heart medicine. The mirtazapam I was on for depression. I was able to completely stop that. The Celebrex stopped everything, and the infusions, no more hospital, and I had my energy back. I was able, then after 3 months, I was able to start running, started jogging at the gym. And so now I have the best health I've had in 20 years. I'm off of all medications, no supplements. I don't even take a vitamin pill. I just eat the meat. After a month on the diet, and then I tested each food to see which food was causing the problem. Gluten was the worst, and the carbohydrates were the complex carbohydrates were the worst. Yeah, so and now I don't have trouble staying on the diet, because if I eat anything, like even if I eat a small, like a fourth of a piece of bread, within 2.5 hours, I lose vision in one eye and I have a headache. So because of that direct response of pain when I eat any carbohydrates, or if I have very much sugar, the same response. So that pain reaction, so I no longer have any interest, or my brain doesn't have any interest in eating anything other than the meat and cooked vegetables, because of that feedback response I get immediately from it.
That is amazing. Wow. Okay, so you did kind of go over what you've eaten, but can you tell us what a day looks like for you? And when you first
Sure.
transitioned, did you have any issues like digestive, fatigue, anything like that?
Well, since I was so sick and with the brain leak, I was not able to even sit up in bed for more than a few minutes because of the pain in the head, because of the cerebral spinal fluid leak. So I just was, I mean, I had diarrhea for like a few hours on day 2 or 3, as apparently, I guess the old bacteria got washed out and then got a new bacteria in the microbiome in the gut. I did have some neuropathy in my feet after, I don't know, 3 or 4 days on the diet, burning sensation in my feet. But when I ate liver, within 15 or 30 minutes after eating liver, the burning pain would go away. So it probably was some vitamin deficiency, which the liver was meeting. Then later I found that if I take B12 drops under the tongue, then that also made it go away. So it was probably the B vitamins, which are, they sort of interact with the bacteria. And I took a few months, about 3 months, then I didn't need to actually eat the liver anymore or the vitamin supplement anymore. I didn't have a problem after the neuropathy went away. It was probably just the bacteria in the gut readjusting, which there's a complex interaction between vitamin absorption and the bacteria. Yeah, and it's a little bit during that first 3 months while I had that apparent thing with the neuropathy. I also had some hair loss in my head when I was taking a shower, but that after the transition period, that took care. It just stopped by itself. Again, it was probably just a vitamin deficiency due to some absorption issue because of the bacteria.
And what does a typical day look like for you as far as how you're eating now?
Well, I eat as much as I want, but I'm not very high. I lost 20 pounds. I wasn't trying to lose weight. It just happened. Then I'm 6'3", and I was 185, and I dropped down to 165. So I'm definitely not overweight or anything, but and then I gained back in 10 pounds, so 175. I typically eat, like, I found I can eat yogurt, eggs, in addition to meat. So dairy, I didn't have a problem with. So I generally eat some yogurt for breakfast, just unsweetened yogurt that I add a little jam to control how much sugar. And then often I'm not hungry for lunch. And then I have maybe, a steak or meat for dinner. So I found if I eat too much, I can't eat if I eat any gluten or any bread or any rice or any grains at all, I did, experiment. I put all the data on an Excel spreadsheet daily, tracking things. And so I'm an engineer by education. So I'm try to be sort of scientific about things. When I try to get down to even just a tablespoon, of rice, or a tablespoon of something made with flour, I would have a bad reaction within 2.5 hours after eating it. That would last for several hours, a headache and loss of vision so I don't eat any, basically no carbohydrates like that. And the sugar, either fructose or granular sugar, I generally keep it very, very low, just maybe a couple teaspoons in 1 cup of coffee. And so if I eat too much sugar, like probably if more than 5% of my caloric intake was from sugar, then I get a headache that lasts several hours. And so that keeps me on the diet. The pain keeps me on the diet because if I stay with very low to no sugar and no carbohydrates, just essentially meat and a little bit of cooked vegetables, then I don't have any headache. I have no symptoms whatsoever. I have high energy. My sleeping, I used to have to sleep like 8 or 9 hours a night. Now I just sleep. I wake up after 6 hours, just totally full of energy. I don't have to get tired during the day. It's the metabolism on this diet is just really amazing.
So would you say that by changing your diet, you got your life back?
Yeah, exactly. I literally, the doctors were afraid that I might not survive this summer, in May. And it definitely, in March, when this came on in March, April, and May of this year, I was completely bedridden I was completely disabled. And now I've been able to go back to school full time. I'm now a graduate student at University of Washington, getting my master's in social work. So I'll be a mental health professional. And I've changed my profession from engineering to this, to working with social work. And I've done research finding actually that schizophrenia, they're finding that some medical school at Harvard and Stanford and psychiatry department found out that ketogenic diet can put some of those diseases into remission for some people. And so I started a new company called Mental Health Nutritional Therapy, LLC, and we're going to do a study within a university so that the data can be published, how to help folks with mental health issues trying on the carnivore or ketogenic diet.
That's amazing. Good for you. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on Joel. You have an amazing story, and I appreciate that you came on and shared with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, Joel.
Bye-bye.
Join Revero.health for a 30-day free trial to get access to live Q&A with VIP guests, social community meetings, member discounts, low-carb healthcare providers list, forum, workouts, monthly challenges, early access to podcasts, recipes, carnivore diet guide, fasting guide, shred guide, and much more.